everyone, it's Lisa from Dogmaster here. You also know me as the Dogmistress. I just wanted to let you know that we are embarking on an awesome series I'm so excited about called Cocktails and Conversations. I'm not necessarily going to be making cocktails like I have in other episodes, but I just wanted to let you know that this is really about what Dogmaster is about. So clearly spirits and cocktails is where our focus is, but being a Dogmaster is so much more than that. Being a Dogmaster is about doing your own thing, not accepting status quo, and the most important thing is you get to define what the finer things in lives are for yourself. And so I think there are so many Dogmasters in the Columbia community, and so I want to reach out and find out from them what they love about living in Columbia, how much they love doing their own thing. And so I hope that you're going to appreciate and enjoy this small diversion from our typical I'm going to teach you how to make a cocktail or talk about spirits episodes. So thanks, and subscribe to my channel. Hey everyone, it's another episode of Cocktails and Conversation, and I have the most amazing Arminta Phelps here, and I can't wait to talk to her. I will have to say, full disclosure, she is my chiropractor. She's Van's chiropractor. She's like my shero in the sense that like she keeps us going. And for all of you that know Van, it does take a village, and so she is awesome at kind of reminding him that taking care of himself is important too. So we're going to get into all of those kinds of things, but the first thing we're going to do is make a cocktail. So originally Arminta said, hey, why don't I just do like a little mimosa? And then she was like, oh no, why am I not getting something with Dogmaster vodka? And you know I'm a pleaser. So I decided that I was going to do something a little bit fun, a little bit different, and do something with both. So I just happen to have some dried hibiscus flowers from Trader Joe's, and you know how we're always telling you to play with your booze? This is a good way to do it. And I just happen to have some Dogmaster vodka in my freezer at home. You know, I just happen to have that. Anyway, so I just threw those two together for a couple of days, and now I have this amazing mixture. It smells wonderful. Of course, I kept it in the freezer, and we're going to do just kind of like a little riff on a mimosa. So of course, you know, I have to find the biggest glasses. Who just wants a sip of something?
They're so pretty.
Well, I mean, who just wants a sip of something? Not me. So just going to take this, just going to do a little bit of the hibiscus vodka. So now folks, you can infuse, vodka, you can infuse whiskey, you can infuse rum, you can infuse gin. Vodka is really easy because it's pretty flavorless, so you really soak up whatever you're adding to it. So then, you know I'm all about the San Pellegrino, so I got a little San Pellegrino limonada here. Just going to put a few splashes in there. And then, of course, gotta have bubbly. Woo, that's a happy sound.
I love that sound.
So, I'm just gonna top it off with some bubbly. So, again, another way to kind of take your mimosa up a notch, not difficult, super easy to do. Spoon. You don't have to infuse a whole bottle of something. Like I said, I just have a little mason jar here. So let's see what we think about this one. All right, well, I'm so looking forward to this conversation with you.
Me too, sweetheart. You know
Cheers.
I love you. Oh, those are dangerously good.
Alrighty, so I have to know, what do you love about Columbia?
Oh my gosh, there's so much to love about Columbia. I think that it boils down to it's a big small town, and I grew up in a small town, so coming to a city, you know, when we moved here for college, it was I really liked the fact that it was still felt small and still felt intimate with folks, and so that's one. I think that plays a role into all of the nonprofit organizations and the community effort that happens in this town. There's a lot of camaraderie that takes place in Columbia, and I think that that's probably my favorite part.
I would totally agree. So I'm going to take that a step further. So as a savvy businesswoman, obviously, you know, one part of running a business is you hope it's successful. but there are all types of other things, and you do such a great job of balancing that whole. I'm in business because I'm in business, but I also am a contributor to the greater community. So what kind of drives that? What kind of started that whole, because it's evident in everything that you do.
I think that's kind of the duty of an entrepreneur in a town like this, is that if you have the capacity to do what you love to do and serve the people the way you love to serve the people and give back, it's Columbia sets that up for success with all of the different nonprofits and charity organizations and the different groups that you can be involved in. I think that, when you're in business, you're in business to be successful and profitable, but like, what's the bigger picture of it? Like, what's it going to be? What's it going to look like in terms of the bigger gain? Is I'm supposed to make this world a better place while I'm here in it. And it's not about the dollar bills in the account. It's about, like, when I leave this plane of existence, what kind of contributing bigger picture did I leave behind? The legacy idea.
Yeah, and I love it. And I think the interesting piece about that is then you have interesting connections that maybe you wouldn't have, because as I said earlier, of course, you're a chiropractor, but above that, we have connected in a business way to like do other things for other people, or to like support each other, like when you and Chris were king and queen candidates, trying to like do some things here. And so I think Columbia lends itself to like these businesses that maybe you wouldn't necessarily put together from the get-go, but because what they do may not match in a way you think about what their mission is or their greater contribution to the community, says, oh, let's figure out a way to partner.
Right. I think that you guys make that really easy, because it is very evident that DogMaster has a bigger picture in Columbia, Missouri as well. It's not just a distillery. It's not just a tasting room. You guys really want to continue to contribute and give back. I mean, just by doing this, the people that are going to be able to see this, can that give something to them to help them grow and benefit? And so I think that like just finding unique individual, entrepreneurs like you and Van, how can we do something together that's beyond us?
Absolutely. So what that tells me is that don't be afraid. If you are thinking about starting a business or doing something different or following your passion or whatever, Columbia is a really beautiful place for that to happen. And so don't be afraid that all the connections won't happen. It may take a little while, or it may not look like you think it's going to look, but it certainly does happen.
Right. And it does take time. I mean, to grow, we've been doing this for 11 years now. So it's not like people can look at our company and think, oh, the grind about in the first couple of years, but the Columbia is such a it's an entrepreneur heaven, in my opinion. That small business is what makes this community hum the way it hums. People think it's a university. I don't. The university brings people in, but I really think that it is the small business effort of, what makes this place so unique to be an entrepreneur in.
I agree. I agree totally. So keeping on with that whole balance idea, I have to say, so one of the things that I most look to you for is you seem to really have been able to figure out a pretty decent balance between the whole idea of when you are in business for yourself, there's always so many things on the to-do list, but also knowing that you have to take care of yourself. And that's one of the things that you do so well, is remind us all of that. But I think bigger and better than that is you're a really good role model. So has that always been something that you have been just able to do, or is that something at some point you just were like, there's no exceptions, I have got to be mindful of taking care of myself, especially in a healthcare profession, because I think that's a turnoff for people if they go to a healthcare professional who's telling them to do all these things but doesn't necessarily embody those things.
Right. And it's a give and take. I'm on the journey of health and wellness just like everybody else is. This is not a destination thing, and the balance between how to take care of self and how to not take care of self. I found out really early that if I didn't make time to do that, then the other stuff was so much more lacking. It wasn't, I wasn't able to be as, be able to do the business part and the entrepreneur part as well if I didn't have my cup full. So I found out early on that if I wasn't taking the time to take care of myself, then I would only be at a, I'd be a lesser percentage of being able to serve the people that I get to serve. And so part of that allows you to, be the fullest version of self so that you can give that to other people, and then it's like fading in and fading out of that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then there's times that, I'm really good at it, and then there's times that you do a self-reflection and you're like, how did I get my life in order?
Yes.
So I'm just
I'm there quite often.
yes, it happens all the time. So I'm just as human as everybody else, and that's one of the things that I really hope people see, that I'm on this journey just like you are, and I try to do the very best I can, but no, I am not perfect at it. And actually, you guys as clients and as other entrepreneurs teach me more than people understand.
Oh, I think it's totally a give and take.
Oh, absolutely.
When I see you and Chris off doing something, it reminds me you can take that time, or that time is useful. Or if Van and I are looking at the calendar trying to figure out things, and I'm like, oh, I don't know if I can make this work or whatever. Having other folks that are not always doing it perfectly, but still doing it and saying this is a priority and the world still goes on, is super helpful. And I think we are so into looking at the perfection piece of it that we can learn so much more from the authenticity piece of really honoring each other and just saying, oh my gosh, I can totally take a couple of days, or I can totally do this, or just checking in with each other. I mean, that's one of the things that I love about whenever I come in is it's not just here you have some physical needs that need to be taken care of, but you're always so good about saying, okay, because me and we have a relationship, okay, if nobody else has checked in with you lately, I'm checking in with you because I want to hear what's going well, but I don't just want you to say everything's great, because if I get a sense that it's not great, then I'm going to kind of needle in and just be like, or if you feel something in my body and you're like, maybe her words are not necessarily matching up with her person, then I think having that ability to be authentic with each other is a big deal, and we don't give enough credit to that in the society.
Oh my goodness. Well, I think we're starting to turn a corner with it. I am seeing a corner start to shift in the last couple of years where people, we crave that. It's an innate craving. Perfection is such a barrier in terms of progression,
Anything.
Yes. And it gets in our way. And, authenticity, how boring would it be if we were all the same, and the authenticity piece is being able to be vulnerable, being able to be like, I am human, I F up just as much as everybody else F's up, and being able to share that in relationship with anybody that we come in contact with, because really that person that's sitting across from you really craves that uniqueness and then that ability to be vulnerable and to not act perfect, because it doesn't exist, and I'm calling BS on it if you try to act like that.
No, I love it. I love it. We need such a place to have just honest conversations where you can say, this is what's really going on with me, or this is really where I'm at, and not to feel like that there's any other intention other than to be a listening ear and a helpful. And I do think I think Columbia is a haven for that as well. I don't know if it's part of being an entrepreneur where you're going to be vulnerable to the public.
Right.
At some point, everybody in Columbia that has been paying attention for the last 7 years that we've actually been trying to put the business together, but 5 years we've been open to the public, has seen us fall and scrape our knees multiple times. And as somebody that is typically fairly private in my personal life, that has been a really learning curve for me. But what I've found is it feels like in Columbia especially that folks are so much more forgiving, because they're like, hey, at least you're out there running the race, or hey, we've been there too, or hey, we want to see you succeed, so let us help you pick back up and keep going.
Right. And I think that when we do have those falls and trips, and we have, the Columbia community is really big on allowing us to and women entrepreneurs specifically, I've really have come into some like just really great relationships. I mean, you've interviewed some of, just some people that I just have so much admiration and respect for. And you look to them because they are authentic, but they are still kicking butt every day, and they're not afraid to admit their mistakes along their journey. Because like, have you ever seen that meme, like the life of an entrepreneur, where you're like, oh, the life is great. Oh, yes. It's just a roller coaster of emotion, and that can happen in one given day. So like how media portrays how we're supposed to live. I think that it can really do some damage to our subconscious and how we feel like we need to express ourselves. But then when you actually are in life and you're not paying attention to the media part of it, like mass media, the bigger picture, you can see the authenticity come into all of the business women and businessmen. But I just have an affinity to really, like, I have such admiration for the female entrepreneurs and heavy hitters in this town, and it's probably just because that's my circle that I've been pushing myself into for a while, and watching authenticity rise, and I learned so much more from that than I do from somebody that I feel like has got it all together.
I agree.
Because none of us do.
No.
Oh,
I agree totally. All right, so tell me, who has been a big influence on you? Like, if you've got to point to one or two people and say, this is really, they've made a real big impact on me. Local? Anyone. Can be from your childhood now, friend, relative, neighbor.
It's got to be my mom. Like, Mama Gwen. And she's quiet rock that just has so much love that comes out of her, and so much support that comes out of her. But she's a warrior. Like, and that's the way I feel. Like, I'm not this princess. A warrior. Put my war marks on, and I am on it. Let's go. And she does that, but she does it in such quietness and with such grace and ease. And she'll always be my one that I look back on and say, my God, I'm so blessed to just know her. And the fact that she's my mother, I'll thank God every day for her.
She is amazing, and she'll just give you that little pat, and she's always so genuinely happy to see you.
Yes.
Like, that's the thing. Like, I always feel like, she is like, I'm the only person she's seeing today. I'm the only person she's interacting with today. She wants to make sure that I am feeling good and I'm ready to go, and it is in a very quiet, very subdued way, but it is so powerful. Right. Like, that's just, it's just like you're kind of enveloped in love as soon as you hit the door and she's there, but you don't even really realize what's going on.
Right. And the stuff that people don't see behind the scenes of how strong she is as a mother, as a grandmother, as a woman in general is she blows my mind. She takes my breath away.
I think is so awesome is in this entire series thus far, it has been a strong woman, in a lot of cases a grandmother or a mother, and going back to society's portrayal of women aren't where they need to be, or blah blah blah. We were talking about how women have been, I'm going to say it, kicking ass and taking names for lots of years, but because it was just part of like living, it was part of existing, that there wasn't some sort of big focus on were they getting the credit or whatever. They were just doing it. They were just getting stuff done. They were being the women that we look back on now and just think, holy smokes, we have so many more tools. Right. And maybe the spotlight is on us more, and that makes it more difficult, but these are women that were just taking care of business and doing it really well and under the radar in a lot of ways, and really pushing a lot of men in their lives and families in their lives forward. Absolutely. And never took a bit of credit, or never even thought about how am I going to be framed in this big picture.
Right. They weren't doing it for themselves. They're doing it out of total humility and service. And I think that teaches us all a lot when it comes to how to be, how to do this life thing with joy and grace.
I love that you say joy, because that's one of the things I think we get caught up in is the to-do list can be very long, and I am learning the lesson, and I'm a slow learner, y'all. You can just ask anybody that knows me. But I am really trying to assess, does this bring me joy? And even the things that I know that are necessary, that I don't necessarily love to do, how do I figure out how for that to bring me joy? Perhaps it's putting on good music when I do it, or perhaps it's just going into it with the mindset of, this is a necessary part of life. Or perhaps it's figuring out a different way to do it that is fun, or getting through it so that I can have some time to just be quiet and creative and whatever. And so I think we talk a lot about joy, but I think we have this unrealistic picture of what it looks like. It's not roses and diamonds and trips, and sure, all that stuff's great, but it's in the daily work of, I'm here right now with whomever, doing whatever. How do I make that the best possible moment?
Right. And joy is one of those things. Joy and happiness, good things happen, tough things happen, but all things, they ebb and flow. You're never going to stick in that hard spot. It will change. You're never going to remain in the joy spot, but can you watch yourself? Can you become Ariel of how is this really? How am I doing this, and how can I bring some more joy to it and fun to it, so that it doesn't seem like it's a task. It seems like it's, we have to get it done, yes.
Right. But I get to do this.
Right. Instead of I have to do this. I love that perspective. You can switch your perspective. You can totally change your whole vibration on how you feel and your whole outlook on life.
Absolutely. And I think you said it perfectly when you said you have to step back. It's not this particular task, but maybe I get to do this as one of the many things I get to do because we own our own business. Or I get to do this because it's one step in being able to go away for the weekend. Or I get to do this because I know that this is going to put me where I want to be 2 weeks from now or whatever. And so it is being able to kind of have that stand back and observe and say, okay, let's not just get so caught up in the weeds in the moment that we cannot see this for what it is.
Right. Absolutely.
I love it. All right, now we're going to get down to the easier questions. Tell me, what's your favorite word?
Oh, mercy. My favorite word. This is tough, Lisa.
I think it's good. People want to know you, Arminta. They want to know the ins and outs.
Joy has got to be one of, we just talked about joy, but really that, so I'm gonna hit with joy because we were just there, and I always go to joy when I talk to people. I'm big on energy and vibration and frequencies. We are all energy beings. We're all vibrating at a certain frequency and level based off of our emotions and how we're perceiving this beautiful thing called life. And if you look at an emotional gradient of what kind of emotions resonate with what kind of frequencies, joy is above love, joy is above peace, joy is your highest vibrational tone, emotional tone that you can have. And if you can aim for that, then you can elevate. And that coolest part about if we can teach ourselves how to elevate, then we're automatically going to elevate those that we are around because we're all the same energy.
Absolutely. I love it. Yep. I think about energy all the time.
Oh my gosh. We need to hang out.
That's right.
I love energy.
That's a whole other in the in the recesses of this brain that sometimes has a lot of stuff going on. Yeah, I think about that all the time.
Well, it's all we are.
So tell me about your least favorite word.
Can't. Can't, never could, my dad always said, and that's you putting limitations on self. And if anybody's going to put limitations on ourselves, it shouldn't be, if anybody's supposed to put limitations on us, it shouldn't be ourselves. And so again, perspective, nothing's impossible. And if you have the thought process, oh, I can't do that, let's get really real. You can't because you don't want to.
Right. There's something going on that's not necessarily an outside reason why you can't.
Right.
No, I love that too. Okay, so tell me what turns you on, just in life in general.
Service, happiness, music.
Music is good.
Music is so good. Music heals your soul.
So what turns you off?
Comparison. I think that that's something that steals our highest elevational ability. And it's one of the things that we all fall into, and that we all do. And if you get wrapped up into that, it can really, really steal your joy and steal your passion. And I think that we're all so unique that if we compare ourselves, then that takes out your uniqueness, because I'm not supposed to be like anybody else.
I love it. I love it. So if you could pick one other profession that you think you could have just totally rocked, or you were totally interested in, besides what you're currently doing, what would that be?
Oh, can I pick two?
Well, you can pick whatever you want. I mean, we got all day here, folks. You can always fast forward, pause, whatever. We're just going to do our thing, and however that shows up for you is just how it shows up for you.
So one of them would be midwifery. I thought about that prior to me being a chiropractor, and being able to help bring a being into this earth, or just being able to be present. Like, if you've ever been present at a birth, it is so awesome, and it's so raw, and it's so authentic that I mean, there's usually never a dry eye in the house. I mean, like, I don't like the women that are over at Women's and Children's, they're you know OB nurses. I mean, I'm sure they have so much joy because they get to see that kind of stuff all the time. So that's one thing. And my great grandmother was a midwife, and so
that's awesome.
I thought I was like, so that was a thought process with it. And then motivational speaker would be inspiring them, or you're motivating them, or you're bringing out the truth of the potential that's within them, because sometimes we need somebody else to see it in us before we're able to see it in ourselves.
Absolutely. I could see you doing both of those things as well.
But I won't, because that's too much of my plate.
Yeah, your plate is pretty full. All right, last question. If heaven exists, and for you I know it does, what would you like to hear at the pearly gates?
Welcome. Good to see you again. And I'd love to kiss my daddy.
I bet. I love that. So, we took a pretty deep dive today in a very short amount of time.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Yes.
So, folks,
thank you for listening.
Another amazing episode. We're going to continue down this vein of cocktails and conversations because we've had such positive feedback. There are so many, and we talked about this when I was with Krista. We talked about framing this as, she's like, you seem to be picking out, I was like, DogMasters? And she's like, oh my gosh. And so if you know a DogMaster in Columbia or beyond that you just think, oh my gosh, Lisa's got to talk to this person, have cocktails, we're willing to travel a little bit, we can come to you. The other thing is, if you want to self-identify, I'm very down with that as well.
Yes.
And so thank you all for joining us for another fantastic episode. And good gravy. It is always so good to see you.
Likewise, sweetheart. Likewise. What a treat. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for listening, but thank you so much for having me. I adore you so much.
Oh, the feeling is mutual. So we're going to wrap up this Love Fest now. I've got a little bit of a cocktail to drink and we have a busy day, but you can subscribe to my channel, Life is the Dog Mistress. Leave me some comments. You can also follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram. We also have the Dogmaster stuff on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And so have a great day and go out and find yourself some joy and some authenticity. Cheers.